Well, let's get underway. What do you guys say? All right, there we are. Hi, how are you? I've got some things set up, so I don't have to reach way over there. Welcome back to the first layer. My name's Richard. This is Ask for Help, our weekly show where we get to answer your questions about 3D printing. And our first question today actually comes from Tim Postma. We're just going to put Tim's question up there. Why is it not going on there? There we go. There we go. Tim asks, is the first day of spring good to start 3D printing PLA for the Toronto and Detroit area? And I would say yes. Yes, it is. Spring is always, that's when the weather starts to get warmer, and you can usually get away with those cooler rooms printing your PLA pretty well. I don't think we have a real problem here. I want to say hi to some people that have just come in. Watching printing in red. You should not be watching, you should be watching me now. I'm hoping you're watching me now. Who knows? Who knows? All right. There we are. Okay. So yeah, I think that that starting your prints in spring is good. What we've got going on behind me is a gift for my wife. Valentine's Day is coming up on the 14th, as you guys know. And I thought I would print something that not only signifies how I feel about my wife, but how she kind of feels about me. So, hey, there's Tripod's Garage. Welcome, Tripod. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see everybody here today. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. We have 15 people watching and only 7 likes. We need to get some more likes going on there. Welcome. Dominic, is there a rule of thumb for when to repair a model that isn't watertight message? If you're getting this message, Dominic, if you're getting this message, the problem that you're probably having, why is this so big? This shouldn't be so big. I have to change this around a little bit. But she says, you know I'm watching, right? You are watching, but you're watching me. So, when it's not watertight, in Cura, if you're using Cura, I would go ahead and try and repair that model. If you can't get all those triangles repaired, you are going to either end up with a failed print, or you're going to end up with holes in that print. Usually you'll end up with a failed print because the G-code won't compile properly. The chances are that I would try and make if you get that message, just try and make it watertight. Hey, there's Gary T. Is that from Amazon? Your comments are getting cut off at the bottom. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to fix that. And I'm trying to figure out why it's getting cut off at the bottom. Bum, bum, bum. Let me just clear this, and I'm going to see what's going on there. Give me 1 second to figure this out. I need to let's do a -90. How's that? And we will go back to this at 177. Now let's see how that looks. Let's see how that comes up. Hey, there we go. That should be better. They're getting cut off on the right side too. I have to figure that out. But I will. Don't worry about that. I will. Tim Postma. How come 3D prints float even when it's more dense than water? Well, that's because plastic is usually lighter Some won't float, some will sink, but because there's air trapped inside that plastic when you're printing it, that's why you end up getting them to float. Ask for help, Richard. That's a good one. I like that. I like that. Ask for help. We will do that. We will ask for help. Oh, hang on a sec. Let's see. Okay, no, that's not it. That's not what we wanted. In any case, all right, let's keep going. Now, you're going to notice I've got a bunch of stuff on the desk today, and I'm going to just kind of switch over to camera 2 here real quickly. And you can see that we have I printed the Flexi Dinosaur from Flexi Factory. I printed him in red transparent PETG. He is quite flexible. He does print flat like so. And then, of course, you can stand him up. I think he stands a lot better than the Yeti that I printed before. We all float. We all float down here. But yeah, this guy, this was printed in Arion, red transparent PETG. I just happen to have, that's the only real red I have. I do have some other red here, but I thought that this might be cool doing it in a transparent. My wife will probably take this to work with her tomorrow. She's got tomorrow and Tuesday. That's her last 2 days at work, guys. Wow. So, yeah, it's one of them things. So then we're going to be back on just my salary for a while. And, but that being said, I do like the red, this is the Flexi, Cyborg T-Rex. I know he's not coming over quite as good as I would like him to, but he does come out pretty well. It looks opaque on camera except for the back. Yeah, he does look opaque, and that's because I've got a light on. I could turn that light off. There we go. We can turn that light off on the turntable. But I really like this guy. I think he's really cool. Devin Bosner, yeah, it's still getting cut off. I wonder why. Wonder why that is still getting cut off. But anyway, I'm going to read Devin Bonzer. I think it's Bonzer. I did a print today while I get a line going up each layer that needs filing down. What's the best setting to reduce that and less filing? You're talking about the seam line. If you're using Cura, you can spread that seam line over so that it almost disappears. Just go into your settings into where your seam is. You can type that into the search at the top of your tools area, and it will just basically bring you up all the seam settings, and you can randomly hide that seam so you don't have so much post-processing. That would be the best way to do it. Gary T says, I may have to look up that model. Might be neat to print and paint to highlight the cyberness. Yeah, this is a really cool model. If you are a member of the group for Flexi Factory over on Patreon, you'll get all these models when you're a Patreon member. And it's really, really cool. I'm a big fan of it. Dominic says water doesn't have infill. Tim Postma says he's asking if you mean shells. I think he's meaning the seam line. That's what I think he's meaning. Now, one of the other things, I'm going to just put him over here real quick. One of the other things I've been working on this week is I've been doing some test prints, and the test prints that I'm doing right now are these little guys. These are for the back wall. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we were asking what should I do with this back wall behind me. And I found this wall on printables.com, and it's a multi-level sort of setup. And you can see here what I've done is I've changed the outer layers so that I have two different filaments running here. They are both PLA. and one is a transparent and one is the recycled PLA from filaments.ca. And what this allows, and I'll just move this over to the center and turn that light back on, is you can see that it will transmit light. So I can put LEDs in here and really make that light or that background look really cool. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I have to cover about 7 feet by 4 feet to make it look really good back there, but that's what I think I'm going to try and do, is a 7 foot by 4 foot. And these, you can do these anywhere from 15 millimeters high all the way up to 50 millimeters tall. So you can get pretty tall with these, and just put in some LEDs, and we've got LEDs here, so we're just going to do that. But I'm just trying to find the right filament to do this with. I've experimented now with the transparent. I will be experimenting very soon with the whites and see if I can't get a little bit more diffusion with the white. Turn off that light. Let's see what we got going on here. Best camera for time-lapse, Tal. That's a good question. I haven't found a really good camera for time-lapsing yet. I do want to find one. I've got some DSLRs I could use, but I do want to... Tim over at DeWitt 3D has a really cool USB camera that I believe with the right software you can do time lapses with. So I am going to try and get that going as well. And Terry Dunn, if I have retraction set in firmware and retraction set in Cura, which takes precedence when printing? I'm having a lot of trouble with stringing with PLA Silk and also PETG. The reason that you're getting that stringing, your software is going to take precedence over the firmware because it's giving it an override command. So I would not have any retraction set in my firmware. I would have that only set in the slicer itself. If you're using Cura, just go and do that in Cura. PETG and PLA, especially the Silk PLA, you are going to experience a little bit more stringing. I even have some stringing on this dyno here that you can see on the screen right now. But I'm having stringing on this little guy, not much, but I had a little bit. But yeah, with the right retraction settings, you should be just fine. But yeah, don't do it in both, just do it in one or the other. Invincible asks, my printer won't do the first layer right. I've messed up with all of the settings and have done the Z axis. If you are having problems with the Z axis and you're not getting that proper squish on the first layer and it's not sticking to the bed, or it's sticking too well to the bed, you really have to make sure that you adjust that. I would go back and do a bed level, set your Z offset to 0 to start with. So reset it to 0, do a proper bed level, then you can adjust, baby step up and down that Z axis as needed for just to get that right amount of squish. Use a piece of paper. I trust that you should do it manually. Doing it manually is the best way to go, in my opinion. Anything other than doing it manually is good after you've already set it up. Like if you want to do BL Touch or something along that line, you can do that, but do it after you've done a manual bed level and get that bed level as smooth as you can. I'm going to do a video on getting that bed leveling going once again. I've done some videos. If you want to go and check some of those out to get the perfect first layer, you can go and check those videos out on the channel. Let me go back up here. I've got one here from Tim Postma. He says, Richard, where can I support your designs? if you got free designs. I have a couple of designs on Thingiverse, but they're nothing too spectacular. Gary T says you should speak with Kite Crafter on Twitch. To look at this ice flow LED system. That would be very cool. Also from Calgary. Devin says, can you save costs by recycling bad prints and lose filament to turn them back into filament strands to print with? Yes, you can. If you're buying from filaments.ca, I want to bring this up because I haven't talked about this very much. Filaments.ca is now starting to do a recycle program where they will send you out a shipping ticket so that you can send back your filaments.ca bad prints, small chunks of PLA, but it has to be separated. So you have to have your PLA can't be mixed with any other material. It has to be filaments.ca PLA along with their PETG. You can do a separate one for PETG. You can do a separate one for ABS. So you can do all kinds of different materials that they sell, but they only take back their own material. They will not take back material that has been contaminated with other manufacturers' material. Okay? But yes, you can, and you can save some money on the rolls. So, just needs frames per second change for time speed. Yep. Let me just keep going down here. Which temp tower model do you recommend? There is a great one in my video on Back to Basics. It's all about doing a temp tower. That's the temp tower that I use. If you are using other software like Matter Control, they have a temp tower built right in. I really like it, and it's something that I would use. Dan B says, would changing a hot end require one to calibrate the E-steps for the extruder? Went from having to add 9% to the extrusion to a 53 to extrude 100 millimeters. It all depends on the hot end that you're using. The way that different hot ends are designed, I know that the hot end from, let's say, a Creality to an E3D V6, very, very different, and you do have to adjust your E-steps for that. So there is a possibility that you would have to do that, yes. Antonio, hello from Italy. I have my printer that has under extrusion with a metal Faden 0.6 nozzle, no issue with brass 0.4. What do I have to check? You're getting under extrusion. Make sure that you have that you've changed the nozzle size in your slicer. That's probably why you're getting under extrusion. Yeah, the metal Fadus. About recycling, what about privacy and confidentiality of designs, especially prototypes, when considering if a patent is worth considering? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Tim, but yeah, it's something that you can consider. But when it comes to recycling, if you've got something that you've designed and that you don't want to put into recycling, I would just crush it up, beat it with a hammer, break it down, whatever floats your boat, just so that people can't tell what design that you've done. If you want to patent your design, you certainly can take out a patent. That is very expensive, however. So that's something to consider. Dominic Versetto says he always checks E-steps before the filament gets to the hot end. That's good. Hey, there's Matt Gurman. Hello, Matt. Welcome. So what you guys see here in front of me now is the Hero Me Generation 7 version 2. This is a extruder hot end cooling system. This will turn my Ender 3 into a direct drive from a Bowden setup. You can see we have a knockoff of a BMG extruder on there. But there is a lot of cooling that's going to go into this. We're going to be talking about this in an upcoming video. and I'm going to show you how to put it all together and what goes into making this all work. So that's something I wanted to bring up today. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, as you can see, I've been wearing the KVP Keene Village Plastics t-shirt the last couple of days. They have sent this to me with some plastic for an upcoming project, and they sent me their ABS, and this is their proper purple. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Let's go to cam 2. We'll just move that out of the way. And I've still got it wrapped up, so I really like this color. I like the purple. It really fits my branding. I chose dark gray and purple, and I'll put the dark gray on there as well so you guys can see that. So there's a dark gray as well. They sent me 2 rolls of dark gray as my primary color, and they sent me a roll of purple for my accent color on my upcoming Boron 2.4 build. We are getting much closer to getting everything that we need. Talked with a couple of other suppliers that are going to be sending me out some more material to get working on this 2.4. DeWitt has been doing some 3D printing for me for some more parts in case these don't work out. But as you can see behind me here, I did get the enclosure done. It's not completely finished yet. I still have to mount the power supply outside, put on the bracket, and then just put the closure for the doors in there. But it does work. I have printed in there. I printed in there yesterday with some PETG. I left the doors open because it was PETG, but it does work. I did have to do some adjustments to it to get it to work properly, and I really like the way that it did that. So now it works, it fits, it looks good, and we'll go from there. So that was a big disaster. I did that one on Thursday, and I put it together and it just literally fell apart. But Keene Plastics will be a supplier for our or a sponsor for our upcoming Boron build. We're going to go back to filaments.ca to do our wall. Hopefully we can get enough material. Right now, one of the things about filaments.ca that's happening, just put you up there. One of the things about filaments.ca that's happening right now is that they're having an issue getting in their raw material. Now, where they get their raw material is from the US. It's the same raw material that a lot of companies in Canada now are using. It's a high grade material, and it's a lot of the time it is food safe. Good afternoon, RT. Winston Fernandez, hello. There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as well, and I know I'm probably missing some things. I hope that I'm not, but I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. But anyway, so yeah, filaments.ca right now, you're going to notice if you go to their website that a lot of things are out of stock. And they're out of stock not because they are not producing it. It's because there's a shortage of material coming out of the US. I don't know why there's a shortage of raw material coming out of the US, but there is, and a lot of filament companies in Canada are suffering from the same problem. So if you are looking for PLA from filaments.ca, the EconoFill line, just be patient. You can also, when you go and look for filament, you can click the little notification button to get notified via email when they get new material in. So I want to thank filaments.ca for being a sponsor of the first layer and the fact that I work for them. Okay, so Winston Fernandez says, I calibrated E-steps, flow rate, temperatures, but still get oozing during travels and blobs at the start of the layer. This makes it makes the seams look bad. What else can I check? I would, Winston, go ahead and print yourself one of those torture tests. That's what I would do first and foremost. Take the filament that you're using, do a torture test. Also make sure that you're doing temperature towers. Temperature towers are vitally important to getting good prints. You'll notice that the prints that I've done here, I've done temperature towers on all of this filament. And whether I've used it before or not, it is important that you do make sure that you do a temperature tower, because it's going to tell you a lot. It's going to tell you about stringing. It's going to tell you about some of the other problems that you're going to encounter. What's the best temperature, where your best overhangs are, that sort of thing. And then you can do a temperature, or a torture test to see exactly where your overhangs are the worst, how your spirals are going to work out, bridging, all that kind of stuff. And that's going to tell you a great deal of information to help you to dial in your slicer. I have a funny feeling that it's just some tweaking that you need to do in your slicer that is going to solve all these problems for you. DeWitt says, hi, Matt. Something's not clickable. Which materials is not experiencing a shortage? Name it, kind sir. Everything right now is experiencing a shortage. Sorry, Tim. Tim Postma. Yeah, everything is experiencing a shortage right now. It is across the board through North America. You will find other companies that are, unless they've got a huge warehouse stock, they are going to be out of a lot of different materials. Those companies that are getting overseas materials, chances are they may have some of it in stock. They may have a good portion of it in stock. But those that are being made in North America, you're going to find that there is a backlog and not everything is available to everybody. Yeah, do the torture test. I think that you'll get that. Hey, there's 3D Experiments. He says, I guess I get less stringing with lower temps and higher travel speeds. Yeah, that's something you can definitely check as well. But doing, and I hate to harp on this, but doing temperature towers is the best thing that you can do for the longevity of your 3D prints, because it, like I said, it tells you a lot. Like with this material, I haven't even opened this material yet, and I can tell you that before I actually go and make my prints with it, I am going to do a temperature tower. Now it's all ABS, but it's different colors. So I'm going to do a temperature tower for each color. I know that the gray all came from the same batch, so I will only do one temperature tower for the two rolls. But everything that you see on the shelves back here and all of the filaments that I have, I've done temperature towers on them. Do I keep them all? No, because they end up in a box somewhere. I never see them again. But what you can do is when you do that temperature tower and you can kind of dial in your slicer for that material, the best thing is keep yourself a notebook or keep a spreadsheet on your computer or anything like that. All of that stuff is going to work to your advantage a little bit later on. And the reason that I say that is because you can go back and you can check those numbers. If you bought, say, another roll of purple from Keene Village Plastics and it came from a different batch, you could go back and look at those details that you wrote down in your spreadsheet or in your notebook and say, okay, I have to print this at this base temperature. Let's say it's 230 for sake of argument. And I need this much retraction and so on. And you can kind of dial that in. And if you're still having some issues, then you can go back and you just kind of tweak things a little bit, just so that you know, you can get the cleanest print possible. Dwayne King, for me, when I went to a direct drive, the stringing went away. Yeah, stringing can be caused by Bowden, because remember, you're retracting further on a Bowden than you are on a direct drive. Geraldine is saying, since we're at that halfway mark, how about hitting that like button? That would help. That would go a long way. Yeah, we got 29 people in the room today and only 14 likes. Let's hit that like button. Hey, if you're getting some value out of today and you want to support the show, there is a super chat. It's always turned on down at the bottom. We do appreciate that. That's how we continue to make content, how we continue to get things into the studio so that we can do stuff for you guys and bring you the best content that we know how. And if there's anything that you want to see us do on the show, please, by all means, let us know. We're always happy to accommodate you and do new videos and try and tackle the problems that you're having. Can you speed up your print higher than stock speed and keep the same quality, or keep it low and slow? Devin's asking. Devin, there's a fine line between speeding up and between speed and quality. So if you increase your speed by, let's say, 5 millimeters per second, till you get to that point where it starts to look crappy, that's one of the experiments that you can do. Just find a model that you like that has a lot of different curves on it. A Benchy is a great example of that because it has overhangs and all kinds of stuff. The faster that you go, remember, you are going to get a sacrifice in quality, but you can tune that. Again, you can tune that by going into those speed settings and just playing around with them a little bit. Find out what works for your printer. How fast can your printer actually go? How much resonance is it going to give? If you've got a bed slinger like an Ender 3 and it's just stock, how fast can you really go? Most of them are set right in that 45 to 60 millimeters per second range. I typically only print at around 45, 50 millimeters on any of my bed slingers, with the exception of the Prusa, which I'm pushing at about 60 to 65 millimeters per second when I'm printing. So yeah, it all depends on the printer, and it will depend on how much you experiment. Yeah, you can do an input shaper and pressure advance, but it's something that you have to set up in the software. And then you have to have the input shaper and pressure advance electronics in order to do that properly. It's something that we know can be done on the Vorons. It can really be done on any printer. It just has to be set up for the printer itself. So yeah, pressure advance is something that you can certainly do. And there we go. I think I got all the questions, did I? Maybe I missed one. Hang on a sec. I think I got them all. Devin, he says, if your print has the ability, input shaper can help you keep quality. Yes, it can, definitely. Dwayne King says, I've been trying 100 millimeters per second with my Ender 3. Great. How's it looking? I'd love to see how well it's going and what kind of print you're getting at that. Because remember, a lot of it also has to do with what surface are you on? Where is your printer sitting? Is it on a nice stable table, or is it on something like an IKEA table like I've got behind me? That not the most stable in the world, I'll tell you that. So you want to make sure that you double check that as well, because that's going to add to the resonance in your 3D print the faster you go. Biden or direct, which is better? I think you mean Boden or direct. That's a matter of preference. I like both depending on the printer and depending on the material that I'm printing. If I'm printing just PLA, Boden is just fine. If I am printing materials such as TPU or TPE, the softer materials, I like to have a direct drive set up. It works much better. Antonio, thank you very much for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Let's put that up on screen. Little coffee he's sending there. We'll just put that up on screen. Thank you very much for the super chat. Do appreciate that. Yeah, I like a lot of, Dominic says he likes Boden. Jerry Sig, super chat. There she goes. For anybody that doesn't know, Geraldine Ham is my wife. So she's always here in our chat, and she's overseeing things. And we have more moderators in our chat now than we've ever had before, and they're doing a great job in keeping the spam down. But that being said, let's have a quick look here. The funny thing is, this material here, this red PETG, has never been in a bag. I've had it for at least 2 years. I opened it when I got it. I did one print off of it and never looked at it again until recently. Because Valentine's Day is coming up, I thought, why not? Let's do it. So it had minor stringing, but I mean, if I threw it in the dryer, I think I could get rid of that stringing. Now I did this over on the, let me just go back here. I did this over on this printer right here. So it was done on the Lowellsbot Taz Sidekick 747, which is what I'm printing on right now. I'm using the same filament. You can see that there's no stringing, and it is just a really cool setup. I'm really impressed by the way that this is coming out, and really want to do much more with this filament. And being that it's Valentine's Day, I thought, what the heck? I'm gonna make a couple of cool things. All right. I like spam especially fried. Bamboo Lab gets more speed and quality by tuning profiles with slower outer perimeters and faster inner perimeters and infill. 3D Experiments is saying. I don't have a Bamboo Labs printer. I have reached out to them to try and get one. Nobody's ever contacted me back, so I think when the time is right, I will probably buy a P1P to start off with. I don't think I will go with the carbon unless we start a fund to get a new printer in here. Other than that, you know, like I said, the money that comes in through our YouTube channel from super chats and from people watching their videos and recommending them to other people, and you know, bring your friends by. The more subscribers we get, the more views that we get, of course, the more ad revenue we get, and that all goes into helping with getting new printers, getting parts that we might need for doing something like this, and it all goes a long way. So Gary T, I have some 5 or 6 year old PLA that has been opened on the shelf and still prints great. I also have some filament cracked multiple times right out of the bag. Yeah, it all depends on where you buy it and what you get. Let me just see here. I have some. Hang on a sec. Now, anybody that has been with me for any length of time knows that I used to work over at Spool 3D. And this is a flesh from Spool 3D. This has not been in a bag. I've had this for, gosh, I'm not even sure how long I've had this. I've had it for a long time anyway. What was the QC date on this? I can't really tell what the date was, but I can tell you that I've had this for more than 4 years. Okay, it's still a pretty decent roll, and we got a little bit of breakage there, a little bit of breakage there. So it is kind of brittle in some areas, but if we go further down, you can see that it's not brittle at all. And I'm bringing that pretty close together. Let's go down a little bit further. That's not bad at all. So that's still in really good shape, and it's been sitting out for quite a while. And I'm going to use this again here real soon. I've got some stuff I want to do with flesh colored. This is light flesh, I believe. Yeah, PLA flesh. So we're going to be using that in a project coming up. So again, if you are running into brittle filament like this, like we saw at the beginning of this, you can put it into a dryer, you can put it into a food dehydrator. I don't recommend putting it into ovens of any kind, whether that be a toaster oven, your main oven. Get yourself a food dehydrator. It's a small investment, and it's definitely going to help your filament. Dry your filament for not longer than recommended by the manufacturer of the filament dryer. If you're using a food dehydrator, remember that PLA shouldn't be dried over 50 degrees Celsius and only for a maximum of about 6 hours, no longer than that. The two filament dryers that I have here, it's usually about 50 for 4 hours, 50 degrees at 4 hours, and it's usually pretty dry. And we get this type of stuff when there's too much moisture in the filament. And we get moisture because moisture is, of course, comes from the air. It's not from water, it's not from rain, it's not from water dripping on it, it's from moisture molecules in the air. It's absorbed by the raw filament that goes into making up these filaments. So we don't need any more Bamboo Labs fanboys, Dominic says. Bamboo Labs has their flaws. It's being reported on Reddit and such. They're not perfect. There is no one perfect printer. I hate to say that. There's no one perfect printer. There are printers out there that inspired the Bamboo Labs. And of course, that's the Rat Rig and the Vorons. Those two programs definitely inspired the Bamboo Labs along with other technologies. Look at Prusa. Prusa hasn't changed their base design on their 3D printers for how long? They've added little things here and there, and now they're getting ready to do their tool changer. They've done an XL, they've done a Mini, but for all intent and purposes, they really haven't changed their design. Mark L. Baker, is that a spool I returned to Spool 3D? No, it's not. Spunky Monkey, he says, Flesh is so fun to use, one of my favorites. Oh, great. I like to hear that. Tripods. I use my bamboo to dry filaments. Silica bags are best to put in your filament bags. Yes, I agree. I'm a new Bamboo Labs fanboy, says 3DHP. Just got one. I did see his video on that. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check out DeWitt 3D Canada's channel. That is my good friend Tim Aucoin, and he has a Bamboo Labs P1P. And Jerry over at 3DHP, who's been doing videos again, is just got himself the X1 Carbon, if I believe, and just did a video on doing some prints on the X1 Carbon. I think they're fine printers. I think the technology that they've added is not leaps and bounds ahead of what could be going on out there. But technology, again, is changing the way printers are. My only drawback, I think, to the Bamboo Labs that I can see for myself right now is that the beds are still only 256 by 256. So they aren't quite 300. I like that 300 millimeter base. Yes, I know that this one here doesn't have 300, that one doesn't have 300, but I do like that size because I like to print helmets once in a while. And I've printed many helmets in my time in 3D printing. And to do them in one go is excellent. 350 is nice, but you know, you run out of room real fast when you're using 300 by 300 millimeter beds. Spunky Monkey says, one question I got is, what you think is the best mesh tool when doing big prints? Best mesh tool, like for leveling the bed? I like a BL Touch. There are many different things. The clicky probe on the Vorons, which is something new, is just it really is a variation on a BL Touch. Same thing as the sensors. it's all dependent on what you like. I like a BL Touch. I think they work well. Some people don't like a BL Touch. BL Touch has been up and down. There are many knockoffs of a BL Touch. There's a 3D Touch. There's the Creality Touch. There's all different kinds of them out there. So, yeah, it all depends on what you like. I can tell you that I've seen the clicky probe on the Vorons work really well, but again, it's basically just an end stop switch without the metal bar on it. So no printing in the shower. Okay, I'm not sure what was going on. 3D Experiments says TH3D Easy ABL is my favorite probe. Tim Hoogland's probe is good. I've reviewed his probe at different times. I reviewed it very early on when I got started in 3D printing, and I liked it. A little bit complicated to set up at first, but it was fine. But again, the probes are dependent on what you like, what works best for you. On the Lulzbot, it has a BL Touch. My Ender 3 has a BL Touch. There is no essential probing except for the probe that comes with the Prusa, and I have no probe on my CR10. I do all my manual leveling on the CR10. So Repoked has a very good video. Well, I guess I got to go back up here. I got to see what's going on. I can't see. I got too many things going on here. Let's see, where are we here? We don't need any more fanboys. Saw that one. Justin says PLA degrades and depolymerizes when you heat it. So ideally you don't want to get it wet in the first place. You don't want to heat it for more than a couple of cycles on it. I agree with that. I would agree with that for sure. PETG, polycarb, ABS, ASA, and nylons don't. And you can dry them pretty much whenever and as frequently as you want. Justin, I will actually do a little caveat to that. ABS you should not ever have to dry. I've never had to dry ABS in my life. I can understand PETG because it is very hydroscopic, so is nylon. But as far as polycarbonate would be somewhat hydroscopic as well. I want to say hi to Morgan Pierce. I haven't seen him in quite some time. Good friend of mine. Welcome back, Morgan. Let's see if we can. Baby toys be printed and be safe, Devin's asking. Devin, I would say that if you're printing baby toys, you'll want to use probably a food safe PLA or a food safe PETG. And you should be okay. Don't quote me on that, but food safe materials generally are better. I honestly, I wouldn't give my babies 3D printed stuff just because they're not quite as tough as you would find with store-bought baby stuff. But you could use them for caps and stuff like that. That would be fine. Dwayne says he couldn't ever get the BL Touch to work. Manual bed leveling is best. Yeah, I always say, I always start with a manual bed level, and then if it's got a probe, I will use the probe afterwards. But I always start with a manual bed level. If I can get that right, then it's just a matter of minor adjustments. Justin is saying, if you want to see interesting probes for advanced machines, the new Beacon 3D probe is going to be the new hotness. Eddy current surface scanner that can do a 100 by 100 probe is seconds, clipper only. Oh, okay. Very cool. Dominic says a 300 millimeter bed can reheat the whole pizza instead of just a couple of slices at a time. I'll agree with that. Yep, your 300 by 300 bed can definitely reheat your pizza. Absolutely. I want to thank our sponsors for the first layer. Of course, Lowellsbot is a sponsor. We have one of their machines here in the studio now. We're going to keep it for a while yet, but we're going to keep talking about Lowellsbot in upcoming videos. I am working to try and get some of their other machines under the new management or the new ownership of Lowellsbot. I think they're doing great work. I think that this is, I mean, it's not leaps and bounds forward of any other 3D printer on the market, but it is a great solid printer for somebody getting started. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but the Sidekick is a totally customizable 3D printer for your needs. So depending on what your budget is. So I want to thank Lowellsbot for their support. I want to thank Keene Village Plastics for their support. And of course, Filaments.ca for their support of the first layer. It all goes a long way. Filaments.ca supplies us with 95% of the plastic that we use on this show, just because I have to test their plastics so that I can give you the best advice possible on a variety of different machines. Devin's asking, do I have any resin printers? As a matter of fact, I have 2 resin printers. I don't use them very often, but if that's something that you'd like to see, Devin, I will definitely do some more videos using resin printers, definitely. Foxaran says, hey there, I got a STL without a bottom layer. Is there a way to just add a floor to it? If it doesn't have a bottom layer, you could probably take it into a 3D program like Fusion 3D, because you can import STLs and put a floor in it. You could also do that in Mesh Mixer. You could add a floor in Mesh Mixer. So yeah. Thank you, Dominic. It does look a lot better than it did on Thursday when it all fell apart after we put it together. The biggest problem, I'm going to grab the part, one of the parts that's left over. Stool that DeWitt 3D brought over to me. It's just rolls everywhere. So this is one of the parts. I'm going to just switch cameras here real quick. Let's switch over to this camera here. And I'll just focus in on this. So this is the part. There we go. So this is the part that I recently reprinted, and you can see that what I did was I chamfered the holes so that I could use the screws that I had, but I also had to increase by 2 millimeters the floor of this part, which is this portion right here. I actually had to extend it up 2 millimeters in order for it not to crack, because where it cracked the other day was right along here, right along this seam. There we go. Right along this seam, right there, right where the floor met those outer walls. And that could be a design flaw, but yeah, now that I did that little change, I was able to get back to doing, putting it together, and it looked great. It worked out very well. But I did have to reprint a couple of parts. I'd still have to do a couple of minor things to it, like move the power supply to the outside. But after I do that, I will be using the Keene Village Plastics, doing some temp towers and making sure that everything goes well. And then I will start printing Boron parts. Dominic says he added a bottom in Cura by adding a square. Okay, you can do that as well. In Prusa Slicer, you can add a modifier, shape, and size. It's according, then position it accordingly. Okay, so there you go. So all these guys are giving you great advice. Marcel, hi, Chief. Hi, Marcel. So there we go. Geez, we're almost out of time. An hour went really quickly today. My goodness. My goodness. And it even kind of started a little early. But, it is what it is. So yeah, there's lots that you can do. We've got this coming up very soon. This is, again, the Hero Me cooling system and extruder that we're going to be doing very soon. There's non-fam. A little late to the party, but that's okay. Matt says, I've recently printed on a PolyJet printer, one-click printing in full color and high details, close to nothing to set. Would be a dream to see those printers getting a bit cheaper. Yeah, those are quite expensive. Yeah, you are a little bit late. Can you print planetary gears for inside an e-bike motor? Or not strong enough with 100% infill. Devin, it's all going to depend on the material that you're using. If you're using nylon, you may have enough there to satisfy. Brendan Wilson, did you get my email? Brendan, I did get your email, but I tried to email you back and it got bounced back to me for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it got bounced back to me. Send me another email, Brendan. And I will try emailing you back again, okay? Because I do know that you've got a problem, and I'm going to try and help you with that problem. Foxran, big smile from Foxran. There's Hey Anon fam. Yeah, we can go a little longer if you guys want to go a little longer. I don't have much to talk about. Let me just refocus this. There we go. But I'm really digging this little dinosaur. This guy is just, I'd like to do him bigger though. I think I'm going to do him bigger. I'm going to find another material and do him bigger. What have I got on the shelf? I have, oh, you know what I could do? I've been really having a lot of success with the recycled PLAs from filaments.ca. So I think I'm going to grab some Pro PLA, which I believe I have a roll of. Give me a second. As I wreck the place. Love the new desk pad. Yes, I love my new desk pad too. That's Tim told me about this desk pad, and I realized that I have a Uline account, so I ordered one. Legend, God, Myth. I don't have time, but I just wanted to say that, oh, I missed that. Let's go back up there a little bit. Oh, well, thank you very much. So just wanted to say that you're very kind for lending your knowledge with Up, and I respect you for doing these streams. Thank you. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. Time flies when you're having fun. It sure does. Fill holes might work too. Yeah, DeWitt's is actually black. Mine is gray because I like gray. I like black too, but Brendan Wilson, he says, what kind of message did you get in the bounce back? I got an undeliverable message is what I got. Okay, so this is PLA 850. So This PLA 850 from filaments.ca on a cardboard reel has a bit of a purple tinge to it. So we may try that. And when it says 850, that's 3D 850 PLA. So the base is 3D 850, and that is a higher temp plastic. So if you're using that in something like a Prusa, you want to make sure that the throat in the Prusa is not the type that they're using in the multi-material that has that little shelf in it. You want to make sure that it has the same bore all the way through, and that's just an E3D throat. Hey, there's Jose Ferreira. And then we have the recycled PLA Pro, which is made from 3D 870 PLA base. And this is a darker gray. I really like this. I think I'm going to start doing some of my parts for this wall in this color as well. Really like this. This is kind of a darker gray. And again, I will do a temperature tower on this. If you guys would like to see me do temperature towers on these, I can always stream them. That's not a problem. Morgan Pierce says it's time for a Calgary meetup. I agree. We need to do a Calgary meetup again. And I'd like to actually do that very soon. Now that, you know, COVID is over and everybody is back out and about. But yeah, I would love to do a Calgary meetup. If anybody's interested in the Calgary area and wants to do one, we'd love to have you. How fast is too fast for Pet G on an Ender 3 or Ender 5? Dominic's asking. Again, Pet G, I usually don't go over 45 millimeters per second on my Ender 3. Typically, anything over that, I find that I get a little bit too much stringing because I don't have fast enough retraction for the speed that I'm going. So that 45 millimeters per second is that sweet spot on my Ender 3 Pro. And it is mostly stock. Where can I find that dyno to print? Spunky Monkey, you'll have to go to Flexi Factory on Patreon. And once you are a member of his Patreon and a member on the Discord, I believe you can just download it. Mine came to me in my email because I'm on his Patreon and I am on his Discord as well. I really like that little dyno. I'm a big fan of that little dyno. I'm actually a big fan of a lot of the Flexi stuff that he's done. Unfortunately, I don't have a printer. Well, that's not true. That's not completely true. I do have a printer that will allow me to do multi-material. I just don't have the multi-material set up for that printer. But I would like to find a good rainbow filament. I know Arion has a beautiful rainbow filament that I might do the Fire Phoenix in. Tim Postma has a question. He says, is chamfer, do you mean bevel? Chamfer and bevel are the same thing, yes. Spunky Monkey, I love Flexi Factory. Actually, you know, Tim over at DeWitt 3D, Tim McCoyne over at DeWitt 3D Canada, turned me on to Flexi Factory. I'd seen them in passing online through social media, but never really thought much of it because it's just another toy that I don't need. But I really started digging some of the stuff. I did the Yeti, and my wife took it to work and gave it away. So yeah. And yeah, her contract's up this week. So on Tuesday is her last day of work, and then I'm going to have her home until she gets another contract or finds something full time or what have you. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting having her around the house for a while. It'll be very interesting. Spunky Monkey says, I did the dragon. Yes. My profile pic is from the last meetup we had years ago. Did I take that picture of you? I guess I did. Mark L. Baker, Morgan Pierce, Gary T. Anybody that is in the Calgary area, let's set something up and we'll do a meetup again. I would love to do that. Whether we do that at a Tim Hortons or we do that at the university. Lots of cookies. Yeah, we can make sure that there's lots of cookies. Yeah, I like cookies. Cookies are fun. Yeah, I would love to do another meetup where we get everybody together and we talk about 3D printing and you guys can bring your prints and show them off. Speaking of showing off your prints, that's what we have the Facebook page for. Show off your prints. Go there. If you're not a member yet, you do have to answer some questions and agree to our rules. Recently, we had an influx of spam because anybody could post in there. You didn't have to be a member. I don't know why that wasn't turned on. But we did have an influx of spam, and now that is all gone. I haven't seen spam in over a week. We have some new moderators over there, some longtime members that became moderators, and they're doing a fantastic job of keeping all of that down. So we will try not to kill each other. Yeah, we'll try not to kill each other. Maybe Jerry could bake some of her cookies for the meetup. That would be good. Yeah. Spunky Monkey, I like anything that's food. I love anything that's food. I love food. Let's see what's... can you guys guess what I'm printing back here? I'm going to just put it on this camera real quick. You guys guess what I'm printing back there? SEO. He says, I have never been able to get a good print that had wide or long first layer. I'm certain my build plate is just not really level. Should I buy a glass build plate or something like that? I say yes. Glass, glass, glass. I am a huge glass fan. This Lowe's bot has glass with PEI on it, and it works great. Okay, Brendan, I will look for that after the show. Do it, Canada. One of those read it one way and other way things. Yeah, I guess so. Guy the Jedi dual name thing. Your print is a flip. I love you turns to a heart. Well, you got half of it right. You got half of it right. You haven't lived until you had spam and eggs cooked over a campfire in the woods. That's true. I can't eat spam. I'm allergic to canned meat. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Glass to me is always the best. And well, wait a second. Let me qualify that properly. Glass is great if you've got the right glass. Now you want to have borosilicate glass. It's the same glass that Pyrex is made from. You can find borosilicate glass on Amazon or most 3D printing retailers. You want borosilicate glass because that is truly flat glass. Don't try and use glass from an old picture frame. You can also use a mirror. That is something else that I've used depending on your bed size. If you've got something like a CR10, a 12-inch by 12-inch mirror that you can buy at any hardware store, not the beveled one, but a nice flat mirror, works really well as well. I really like those as well. Flexi Factory is also on Etsy. Dragon's $3. Okay. Dwayne King, I have glass beds as well, but I hear mirrors are better. Mirrors are better. The reason that a mirror is better than a glass bed, even though it's a little bit thinner, is because first of all, it has that metallized coating on the back. So it helps to spread the heat across the glass surface much more evenly. Secondly, a mirror has to be truly flat because if it's not, we get that warping effect or that funhouse look, as I like to call it. Green ham and eggs. Spam and eggs. Ask Jerry for the shits and laughs cookies and laughing cookies. Okay. My printer destroyed 2 magnetic plates. Came with the Ender 3 Pro when printing PETG, so I got a creakly glass bed plate, no problem since. Yeah, I never liked those build tack type surfaces that came with the Ender 3 Pro. I thought they were always to me garbage, and I will never ever ever use those things again. It says, I love you, flipped forever heart. No, well, it does say I love you, but you don't know what it says when you flip it. It's not the heart. But good going. Let's go back. Okay. I did find it on Thingiverse of all. No, I found it on printables.com. It was on printables.com. But if you know me, you'll know when you flip it what it says. Because if you really truly know me, you'll know that there's another meaning when you flip it. But with that said, let's call it quits for today. It's 3:10. We went a little bit over our time, but that's okay. I don't mind. And I'm going to go up and have a snack. Spam, bacon, eggs, and spam, Dominic says. I want to thank you guys for showing up today. Again, I want to thank all of our sponsors, Keene Village Plastics, Filaments.ca, and Lowellsbot for all their support of the show. Lowellsbot has supplied us with a printer. Keene Village Plastics has supplied us with some ABS. And of course, Filaments.ca supplies us with our regulars. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for the super chats today. It goes a long way to helping us continue to do content here on the channel. And I will see you guys all next week. We are going to try and get that Simplify 3D versus Cura video out very soon. They had a recent update, so I have to go back and redo that video to reflect the update. So until we see you guys next time, remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print. And what else do I got to do here? There's lots of things I got to do here. There we go. Got to go there. Thank you for allowing us in your awesome show. You're always welcome. You're always welcome. Everybody is welcome. This is, I always want to make sure that you guys get the information that you're looking for. And this is why I started this channel, was so that I could help you guys with the same problems that I went through when I started 3D printing. And some of those problems I still suffer from today. So yeah, it's something I want to continue to share with you guys. So until I see you guys later, have yourselves a great rest of the weekend and enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'm going to try and do some live streams over on Twitch this week. Take care.